My folks, trying to knock some sense into me, faked a DNA test, claiming I wasn't their real daughter. My brother, ignoring my pleas, was all too eager to shove me into a mental hospital. "You're nothing but trouble, why don't you just drop dead?" he'd sneer. And my fiancé, the guy I was head over heels for, just stood there, cold as ice, even pulling strings to make sure I suffered in that hellhole. 5 years. 5 years to learn my lesson. Now all of a sudden they want the old, spoiled me back? Ashley, what's with the princess act again? Being out this late, are you trying to make us all worry? That's my brother, Chad, his voice dripping with annoyance on the phone. The Landrys finally let me out of the loony bin. Because it's Brittany's birthday, and she's feeling generous enough to give me another chance. Then Dad takes over the phone. "I know you resent us for sending you away, but you were always so disobedient and mean to Brittany. We did it for your own good." Chad chimes in. "Exactly, and we got you out now, right? What more do you want?" They keep nagging until half an hour later, they're finally done lecturing and start asking where I am. "Where are you right now? We'll send a car to pick you up. And behave this time, got it?" I swallow hard, my throat rasping. The mental hospital. Yeah. I've been sitting here since dawn, not moving an inch. Silence on the other end. Then a louder, angrier voice. "You're at the hospital and you can't get home yourself? Do we have to come get you? You know the way. Who are you trying to fool with this act? Still holding a grudge, huh? I knew you hadn't learned your lesson. Maybe we shouldn't have brought you home after all." They seem to have forgotten that they were the ones who told me to stay put. I'm sorry, Mr. Landry, Chad, I didn't mean to." The apology is automatic. Silence again. Probably stunned by my compliance. Or maybe by how I addressed them. 5 years ago, we were a family close as could be. If it weren't for that damn DNA test, I never would have imagined that I, who looks 8 parts like mom and dad, wasn't really their daughter. Whatever. He sounds defeated. "I'll have your brother pick you up." I keep sitting there quietly, letting the cold and hunger gnaw at me. "Need a ride, miss?" A taxi pulls up. I shake my head, waiting for someone. Taxis come and go. It's past 10 p.m., almost closing time at the hospital, and still no sign of the Landrys. Not a single message on my phone. The security guard can't take it anymore. "You've been waiting all day, ain't nobody coming. I'm about to clock out and it's dangerous out here at night, especially for a young girl like you." I just manage a weak smile. What's one more day when I've already waited 5 years? He sighs, gives me some water and a sandwich, and decides to stay late with me since he's worried about me. "Thanks, mister." I eat the sandwich, grateful. This is the best birthday I've had in 5 years. In the end, I didn't get picked up. The security guard took me home. It's after midnight when I finally get there. My phone's still silent. The Landry house is lit up, the sound of laughter spilling out into the night. I don't say a word. If the maid hadn't opened the door, I think I would have stayed out there forever. "Wow, you look awful. And your clothes are a mess." Chad's the first to speak, can't help but blurt it out. Mom seems shocked. "Ashley, honey, you've lost so much weight. How could I go from a chubby-cheeked girl to someone who barely tips the scales at 80 pounds in just 5 years? Even Dad looks a little sad, immediately telling the maid to fix me something to eat. "We were going to pick you up, but Brittany wasn't feeling well, so I get it. This is their special way of making amends. They can ignore me and put me down in front of Brittany without a second thought, not even caring if they hurt my feelings. Then afterward they toss me a bone, hoping I'll forget all the pain. I used to eat it up. But now I don't care." I start to speak, but Chad cuts me off. "Give me a break, it's just a ploy to get attention. Probably dieting again and blaming it on the hospital? Just wants you to feel sorry for her so she can stay here." Mom scoffs at him, then turns to me, her eyes soft and gentle. "We haven't found your real parents yet, so you can stay here. You can call me Mom again, I'll still think of you as my daughter." "It's okay, Mrs. Landry. I'm so grateful you're letting me stay." That one formal address puts a vast distance between us, where once there was the closest bond imaginable. Mom can't hold back the tears, and starts to cry. I'm not the headstrong girl she used to know anymore. If I complained, if I yelled, if I blamed her and Dad for those years of neglect, it'd be better than this weak, pathetic version of myself. Brittany sees me and visibly shudders, like she's seen a ghost. Finally, she musters up the courage to reach out her hand. "Ashley, let's bury the hatchet." I stand there, stunned. I never argued with her. What is there to forgive? 5 years ago, I was a college freshman. Like always, every time I entered a new place, I declared my ownership over Carter Hayes. Carter was my fiancé, and I loved him fiercely. Plus, being Ashley Landry, the spoiled rich girl, I didn't tolerate any girl looking at him twice. Brittany was one of them. Brittany grew up in an orphanage, but somehow, she always managed to catch Carter's eye, and he couldn't help but pay attention. Even my brother, who always took my side, turned against me. I confronted her once. After that, Brittany was tormented by bullies. Everyone said that I was behind it. By the end of the semester, Brittany couldn't take it anymore and jumped from the roof of the school. She was rescued, unharmed, but she left a note. It was full of accusations against me. Nobody believed me. Carter broke up with me. I thought it was the worst thing that could happen to me. Then, I found out I wasn't a Landry after all. Brittany was the real daughter. And my real parents? No one would tell me. I fell from grace in the blink of an eye. The people who had raised me sent me to a mental hospital. I don't want the family to worry. Whatever you did, I don't care. If you don't make mom and dad mad, I can treat you like a sister. Brittany smiles, all sweetness and forgiveness. Anyone would praise her for her kindness and generosity. Dad nods in agreement. That's right, if you change, you can be a Landry again. Chad frowns at me. I only forgave you because Brittany wanted me to. Thank Brittany now, and if you bully her again, I won't forgive you. 5 years ago, I would have defended myself. I didn't bully Brittany, she did it all herself. But now, I'm not going to humiliate myself by explaining things to people who don't care. I'm sorry, I just wanted to get my ID back. They all glare at me. They think I'm ungrateful. Why do you make a fuss about this small thing? If you're so childish, do you want to go back to the hospital? We raised you. Why can't you be nice like Brittany? Why can't you be a better daughter? Mom seems agitated. I don't know why she's so upset. But I'm not your daughter anymore. Is it not normal for me to get my ID and leave? Mom freezes. She lets go of me, looks at me. It's like she doesn't recognize me. Chad scoffs. Planning to take what you have. We gave you everything for over 20 years. You really think you can pay us back? I lower my head. I don't understand these people. They hate me. I'm not a Landry. Why would they want me to leave? I end up staying at the Landry home. My old bedroom is Brittany's now. I'm in the maid's room, which I never set foot in before. I don't complain, I go to sleep early. Even in this soft bed, I have a nightmare. I'm in the hospital, I'm hurt. Men rip my clothes off and laugh at me. I tell them my family will do something about this. I tell them my fiancé will save me. But no one cares. They say I'm not a Landry anymore. They say no one will save me. They say I'm foolish. Because the Landrys and Carter let this happen. Once again, I wake up from a nightmare. I'm so cold. When I go to get a glass of water, I see Chad come out of his room. He has a helmet, he's going for a ride. I don't say anything, I get my water. Chad stops, and he gets closer to me. Don't you want to say anything? What? I ask. I remember when Chad got in an accident on his motorcycle. I would yell at him, and then tell him to be careful. He said I worried too much. What do you know? Motorcycles are cool. You're not my sister, Brittany doesn't say anything, why are you? He didn't like it, but before he went out, I told him to be careful. But those things went away a long time ago. Chad frowns at me. You don't care if I get in an accident? I shake my head. I don't know anything about this, isn't riding a motorcycle cool? I'm going back to sleep, is that okay? Chad blocks my path. I try to get around him, but he stops me. Is it about the hospital? We forgave you. If you didn't bully Brittany, we wouldn't have done this. He laughs. Every time we argue, he brings up Brittany. He waits for me to start crying. But now I just shake my head. I'm not mad really. But he's mad, he punches the table. When I see Carter, I don't feel anything. He and Brittany are together, he has the look I wanted. He frowns when he sees me. I wanted to marry Carter, but I couldn't. Now he has what he wants. Ashley, your clothes were dirty. I got you some more, I only wore these once. Brittany hands me old clothes. Everyone is looking at us. I remember losing. But that was long ago. Thanks, Miss Landry. I take the clothes. I can trade these for money. I became so pathetic. The servants are talking about me. The Landrys look unhappy. Ashley, you're trash. Chad storms over and throws the clothes on the ground. Why would you wear trash? Don't you know you're a Landry? The dirty silk dress clattered against the hardwood floor. I looked down at the fabric. The red lace was slightly torn at the hem, a cheap, discarded piece of Brittany's old wardrobe that she had graciously handed down to me like a bone thrown to a stray dog. Zach's boot was still resting on the edge of the sleeve, his breathing heavy, his face flushed with a furious, frantic irritation. He was waiting for me to scream. He was waiting for the old Ashley, the spoiled, temperamental heiress who would have thrown the dress back in his face, screamed about her dignity, and locked herself in her room until the family fell to their knees to apologize to her. Instead, I slowly knelt down. My thin, bony knees pressed against the cold hardwood floor. My fingers scarred with the rough, yellow calluses from 5 years of scrubbing the hospital's concrete washrooms, gently picked up the dress. I brushed the dust off the red lace with my palm, folded it neatly, and held it against my chest. Thank you, Mr. Chad. I said, my voice quiet, flat, and entirely polite. The fabric is still good. I can sell it to the second-hand shop down the road for $15. It's enough for 3 days of bread. Chad's hand froze at his side. He stared down at me, his eyes widening in a sudden, suffocating panic. The complete, dead-eyed compliance in my face was far more terrifying than any tantrum I could have thrown. Ashley, he muttered, his voice trembling slightly as he took a step back. Why are you calling me Mr. Chad? I'm your brother. Stop playing this ridiculous, pathetic game. Do you think acting like a servant is going to make us feel guilty? You're not my brother, Mr. Chad, I said, standing up slowly, my 80-pound frame swaying slightly from the sudden movement. The DNA test you showed me 5 years ago was very clear. I am not a Landry. I am simply a guest in your house until I retrieve my ID card. Mrs. Landry walked out of the living room, her face pale, her fingers clutching a diamond necklace she had been trying on for Brittany's birthday. Ashley, honey, please don't talk like that. We were wrong about the hospital, okay? But you were so violent back then. You tried to push Brittany. We only did it to keep you from doing something you'd regret. I didn't answer. I didn't tell her that the violence they spoke of was me, desperately trying to claw my way out of the car when their private security guards were dragging me away. I didn't tell her about the cold, damp baths the nurses had forced me into whenever I cried for my mother. I simply bowed my head. I understand, Mrs. Landry, I said. I apologize for my past behavior. I was very disobedient. Mrs. Landry let out a choked, frantic sob and covered her face with her hands, turning away because she couldn't bear to look at the blank, empty space where her daughter's soul used to be. The Landry family didn't bring me back out of love. They brought me back because Brittany was preparing to enter high society. She was dating Carter, the heir to the Hayes Group, and the board of directors had begun to ask questions about the disappeared, eldest daughter of the Landry family. The rumors of a secret, locked-away sister were threatening Brittany's pristine, saintly reputation. They needed me to stand beside them at the upcoming anniversary gala, healthy, smiling, and forgiven, to prove to the media that there was no bad blood. But I had no intention of playing my part in their theater. At midnight, when the massive house had finally fallen into a heavy, silent quiet, I slipped out of my tiny maid's room. I didn't carry a bag. I didn't wear shoes. I crept down the dark hallway to my father's private study, my bare feet silent on the cold marble floor. The door wasn't locked. I walked in, my eyes scanning the mahogany desk until they landed on the brass drawer where he kept our legal documents. Using a small hair clip I had salvaged from the hospital washroom, I manipulated the lock. With a soft metallic click, the drawer fell open. My hand reached in, searching for my official ID card and my passport, the only things I needed to legally exist outside this house. But as my fingers brushed past the legal papers, they caught on a thick, white envelope marked with a red wax seal, confidential, genetic audit. My heart skipped a beat. I pulled the envelope out, broke the wax seal with my fingernail, and opened the document. It was the original DNA report from 5 years ago. The letters on the page were loud, clear, and bone-chillingly simple. Paternity relationship, 99.99% match. Ashley Landry is the biological daughter of Donald Landry and Helen Landry. I stared at the page, a cold, hollow laugh escaping my throat. I was their real daughter. I had always been their real daughter. The fake DNA test hadn't been a mistake. It had been a calculated business transaction. 5 years ago, the Landry Group's capital chain had broken, and they had desperately needed a massive, $100 million investment from Brittany's biological father, a corrupt, powerful political figure who had fathered Brittany during an affair with an orphanage director. To secure his backing, the Landrys had agreed to swap me, giving Brittany the official status of the eldest heiress and the family inheritance, while locking me in a mental hospital to prevent me from exposing Brittany's past cyberbullying and self-harm fraud. They had traded their biological daughter's sanity to buy their company's survival. I folded the paper, slid it into my inner pocket along with my ID card and passport, and quietly closed the drawer. I didn't cry. I didn't feel the urge to run into their master bedroom and scream at them for my stolen youth. The pain was too old, too deep, to be cured by anger. I walked out of the mansion, stepping into the cool, damp night air. I didn't look back at the grand brick house. I simply walked down the dark road toward the city, my thin canvas shoes squelching in the mud, finally running toward a future that belonged entirely to me. 6 months later, the coastal city of Sonia was a paradise of white sand, turquoise water, and endless, brilliant sunshine. I sat on the deck of a small, open-air cafe overlooking the harbor, wearing a simple linen dress and a pair of comfortable straw sandals. My skin, which had been pale and sickly in the hospital, had turned a healthy, golden brown under the tropical sun. I had gained 15 pounds, and the empty, hollow look in my eyes had slowly been replaced by a quiet, fierce peace. I was working as an archival assistant for the Vance Trust, a massive, low-profile international foundation that had quietly but aggressively begun to acquire the Landry Group's outstanding corporate debts over the last 3 months. Ashley, A calm, deep voice interrupted my thoughts. I looked up. Standing beside my table, wearing a light gray linen suit with his hands in his pockets, was Harrison Vance. Harrison was the chief executive of the Vance Trust, a man of immense wealth and even greater silence. He had been the one to quietly pull me out of the mental hospital 6 months ago, using his family's legal connections to bypass the Landry surveillance. He knew my entire history, and he had been the one to help me file the massive $50 million civil and criminal lawsuit against the Landry family and the hospital administration. The state bar has officially accepted the filing, Ashley, Harrison said, sitting in the chair opposite me and handing me a fresh file. The grand jury has issued indictment warrants for the hospital director and the 3 doctors who falsified your medical records. He gave me a gentle, reassuring smile. And the digital forensic team has successfully traced the offshore accounts Brittany used to pay off the hospital staff. The paper trail is legally ironclad. I took the file, my fingers gently tracing the legal seal. And the Landrys. The Landry Group's stock plunged 40% this morning after the media leaked the news of the illegal confinement, Harrison said coolly. Their board of directors is demanding Donald Landry's immediate resignation. They are finished, Ashley. Good, I said, taking a slow sip of my iced tea. Let's go to the court. The grand hall of the provincial high court was packed with the city's elite reporters and photographers, all waiting to see the final downfall of the once proud Landry family. Donald and Helen Landry sat at the defense table, looking haggard, gray, and completely broken. Beside them sat Brittany, her delicate, saintly face completely twisted with a frantic, desperate terror, while Carter sat in the back row of the gallery, his face dark, his family having forced him to break off his engagement with her to save his own reputation. My legal team, led by Harrison Vance, stood at the prosecution table, calm, organized, and armed with a mountain of evidence. The judge cleared his throat, his gavel striking the wooden block with a loud, final crack. After reviewing the extensive evidence of medical record falsification, grand identity fraud, and illegal confinement of a minor under duress, the judge announced, his voice echoing through the silent courtroom. This court finds the defendants, Donald and Helen Landry, guilty on all counts of criminal conspiracy and human rights violations. The state hereby sentences Donald Landry to 8 years in a federal penitentiary and Helen Landry to 5 years. The Landry Group is ordered to pay full civil restitution to the victim, Ashley Landry, in the amount of $50 million. The courtroom erupted into a chaotic frenzy of flashing cameras and shouting reporters. Helen Landry stood up, her body shaking as she looked at me, her eyes filled with a desperate, heartbreaking grief. She pushed past her lawyers, running toward the gallery where I was standing, trying to pull me into a hug. Ashley, my baby. The DNA test was fake. You are my real daughter, she sobbed, her fingers reaching out to grab my hand. Come back to Mom. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll give you everything. I looked at her, and for the first time, I felt absolutely nothing. I find people who put their own children in a madhouse for money filthy, Mrs. Landry, I said, my voice quiet, even, and entirely cold. Helen froze, her face turning a sickly, hollow gray as my words stripped away her last remaining hope. Her hand dropped to her side, and the bailiffs quickly moved in, pinning her arms and leading her out of the courtroom to be processed for her sentence. I turned and walked out of the courtroom, my arm naturally hooked over Harrison's, our steps light and steady on the stone stairs. The autumn sun was warm, casting a beautiful golden light over the courtyard. I took a deep, clean breath, and for the first time in 5 years, I knew that the winter was finally over. The past had been laid to rest, and my new life was finally mine to live.